yourself up, let a new chapter begin. It's a big old world that's just opening. Pick yourself up, let your yesterdays go. There's a sunshine road that you can follow.
This time, we set out on the trip on August 11th, exactly at 1 p.m. I planned to spend first night somewhere at Plitvice Lakes in Croatia, not knowing that yet, that there's no such possibility to do it in the wild. In Poland, the area of the Masurian Lakes offers plenty of opportunities to hide somewhere off the beaten track. At the Plitvice Lakes, probably every scrap of the shore is private. At least, that's how it looks from the perspective of the nighttime search for a camping spot. So I finally decided to leave this tourist area, and after almost 17 hours on the road and covering 1200 kilometers, I reached shortly before 6 a.m. another point of my plan, an abandoned Zeljawa military base. Quite quickly I came across an abandoned Douglas C-47, the photos of which can be found all over the internet, and decided to rest right next to it.
Za 300 metrów skręć w prawo.
When I finally woke up, this clearing wasn't as empty as it was when I arrived. There were a couple of other visitors checking out the site. In order to find out where I've really been, I raised the drone, this time with my new 360 camera attached to it, to check if that can give us any added value to the footage. I was surprised seeing an American aircraft in the former communist base, but I found out that Yugoslavia's non-aligned status allowed its military to make use of both American and Soviet-built aircrafts. Compared to the photos that can be found on the internet, you can clearly see this spot became quite popular in the recent years. The plane is not in the middle of the bush anymore, and this graffitied attraction is in a much worse condition than it was a few years back. The interior is totally stripped down, the floor is almost non-existing, so you have to be very careful walking inside, and there's a lot of sharp edges all over that can hurt you badly. This abandoned military base, situated in the east of Croatia, on the border with Bosnia and Herzegovina, was Socialist Federal Republic of Yugoslavia probably most ambitious military project. This installation, incorporating hangars, barracks and an advanced communication center designed to serve as a Cold War area ballistic missile early warning system. Around 25 buildings stand decaying and dilapidated with crumbling roofs and hazardous conditions. Extreme caution needs to be used when approaching this site due to the large number of unexploded landmines and other munitions there. As of 2019, the area is used to train Kenyans with actual landmines by local police forces. There are still active mines in the vicinity, making trips here dangerous. In 2000, a Bosnian major died from his wounds after setting off a Prom-2 anti-personnel mine when searching for mushrooms on the base. We tried to stick to the beaten path, so we felt relatively safe, and the only thing I looked at with some concern was a wasp circling right next to Kira's nose, while she was drinking after our sightseeing. Most contemporary First and Second World countries had something similar, but what made Zeljawa unique was its location. In an effort to render the base virtually indestructible, Object 505, as it was officially known, was the largest underground airport built inside a hollowed-out mountain. The underground section housed 2 full fighter squadrons and 1 reconnaissance squadron. 100-ton doors protected each of the 4 entries to the bunker. 3 of them had specialized doors for fixed-wing aircrafts. The underground tunnel stretched a little over 3.5 kilometers. It was so large it had maintenance facilities and parts for planes, its own underground water source, crew quarters, power generators, a mess hall that could fit 1,000 people, and other rooms of bunker and military needs, suitable to last 30 days without resupply. The impressive facility was one of the most expensive in Europe and was constructed to withstand a direct hit from a 20-kiloton nuclear bomb, comparable to the size that hit Nagasaki. At the retreat of the Yugoslav People's Army, the runaways were set with explosives as they did not want the base used by opposing forces. In 1992, the Serbian military detonated 56 tons of explosives there as well. The villagers of Bihać state that the explosion was so massive it shook their town and smoke billowed from the tunnels for 6 months. One important thing, it is recommended to enter through entrance 2. This is where we are here. Take a brief walk through the main galleries and then exit same way. Entrance 4 is strictly off limits. While on the map this appears to still be within the borders of Croatia, the border police describe exiting the complex through entrance 4 as an illegal border crossing. It was a rather short stay in the area and I'm glad I didn't have with me this map I presented to you. I probably would scrutinize much deeper than I should. And so, around 5 p.m., we set off to the next point of our journey, visualizing images of experiences from this amazing place in our heads. Next 170 kilometers were mostly asphalt road mixed with tarmac. Wanted to see the eye of the earth and ideally dive in it, so headed towards a small village called Cetina, which is the source of Cetina River in Croatia. There is a D1 road leading there, but I wanted to drive a bit off-road, so in the Bruvno I turned onto some local roads and followed them through Glogoro back to D1. As I was still on the highway pressure in my tires, I had to stop for a moment and release it a bit because the surface of the gravel road was definitely felt. Here I wanted to make friends with the local cows grazing nearby, so I had to have an eye on her, but short no stopped her. She just sat watching with curiosity. Those grassy plains were also a good place to stretch Kira's legs. After short maintenance tasks, I let her run a bit as she didn't have too much movement for the last 2 days. Conditions were perfect for such activities. The grassy path was nice and soft, the temperature was perfect, we could feel the rain was coming, so even more I wanted her to take some activity. We both had fun, me recording her, she trying to catch up with me. We covered those 22 kilometers of gravel roads at an average speed of 13 kilometers per hour, which translated into 1 hour and 40 minutes. Of course, including stops and fun in running and shooting. Just before 8 p.m., we returned to the asphalt again and finally turning left again on the D1 road leading south, we drove through Knin in the evening to finally reach Cetina around 21:30. I found this place by complete accident. I planned to stop somewhere near the spring, but at night I couldn't find any convenient access, and actually, just because I was wandering around looking for an access road, I found myself on this piece of a meadow by the river, which turned out to be a great place for another overnight stay. So this was our relaxing camping spot at the bank of Cetina River. It was a great place close to the water, and an evening bath was something I really needed. It may look as a nice warm fort, but in fact, the water was freezing cold. The morning wasn't sunny, unfortunately, and those clouds chasing us from the Zliava base reached Cetina village as well. But at least it wasn't raining. Yet. And it was warm enough to enjoy breakfast outside. The first lazy hours during this trip were, despite being slightly worried whether it would be raining soon, we took our time preparing breakfast. This place seems surprisingly still very little known. It was August 13th, Saturday, high season, and there was almost no one around. Just one van with tourists like me. And I really expected crowds here.
Jeść?
Preparing a meal for Kira wasn't just about pouring crisps. Often, at the beginning of such trips, and especially during longer drives when she had little movement, she fussed a bit and didn't want to eat. And since unfortunately she had to eat food for kidney patients, she had to be persuaded to consume it somehow, and most often it consisted of adding some ham to the meal, so that sucked her up, as I called it. In this ham, I also smuggled a tablet for the liver. And such a ritual usually took place every morning and evening, unless the day was physically intense, then she was usually not fussy. The place we came here for was hiding behind this Serbian Orthodox Church of Holy Salvation. This clear water spring brings up cold groundwater and is the source of the Cetina River, which flows around 100 kilometers all the way to the Dalmatia region of the Adriatic Sea. It looks like a simple body of crystal clear water, but this incredible turquoise and emerald green color karst spring is over 150 meters deep. I read it had been a local secret for years, but social media changed it a bit, and chances are you would have seen an aerial shot of it somewhere. At least that was something that caught my attention and made me decide to come here. It really looks like a dragon's eye, doesn't it? That's why many people know this spring of Cetina as Croatia's Eye of the Earth. Of course, to get to this place, you do not need 4x4. There is a small parking space and viewpoint next to the church. Between the viewpoint and the hillside, there is a short path leading to the water edge. Not sure if locals still find swimming in it rude, as it was their source of fresh drinking water, but once there were signs prohibiting swimming there. Croatia is known for its excellent weather almost year-round, but seemed like we were lucky to experience opposite. Clouds above us were thickering, the wind got stronger, and before departure I wanted to fill up my tanks with this fresh water before it will start to rain. This is when my water hoses are becoming handy. I carry them always outside. Yeah, they do get dirty, especially after driving off-road, but as I need to dip them in the water, I don't worry about that. They are easy to clean and I used to keep them in the case on the roof, but it was a pain taking them down and up each time I wanted to use them. I can start my water pump from two places, one inside the car and one outside, installed on that panel. Again, handy and easy to operate with better control what is going on. Just a quick look how the water filter installed behind the front seat looks like. If it is filled with water or there's still some air in the system, few squeezes to push the air out, and all I need to do is wait for the tank to fill up. Well, you can clearly hear what was coming. It got pretty dark, you could hear constant thunders and first drop of rain shot up on the water surface. I just managed to do everything on the right time, as when we set off it poured with heavy rain. It was really the last moment to leave the camping spot. Once it started raining, it didn't stop. And even with each kilometer, it was getting worse. I had a plan to explore a bit more on this side of the border, but with the intensifying rainfall, I couldn't shake the feeling that this time Croatia probably doesn't want us, and we need to get to Bosnia as soon as possible. Maybe better weather will greet us there. Conditions were really getting extreme when it came to precipitation. Streams of rain poured under the windshield, streams of water were formed on the road, thrown to the sides from under the wheels of moving cars. The sky dragged along the horizon and nothing foreshadowed a quick change. Driving kilometer after kilometer, I felt the lack of power at some point. The engine speed could not be increased above 2000 RPM. The fuel pump pressure dropped and the speedometer needle stopped working. For a beginning of this journey, I thought, wondering what to do next.